Joe Louis, born on May 13, 1914, in the rural backwoods of Chambers County, Alabama, emerged from humble beginnings to become one of the most iconic figures in boxing history. The seventh of 8 children, Louis was raised by Munroe and Lillie Barrow, both descendants of former slaves, scratching out a living as sharecroppers. Even at birth, weighing 11 pounds, Louis had a presence. But his early life wasn't easy. He barely spoke until age 6 due to a speech impediment and faced hardship at every turn. When Joe was just 2, his father, Munroe, was committed to a mental institution. By 1920, his mother remarried, believing Munroe had died. It wasn't until much later that they learned he had lived until 1938, unaware of the global fame his son had achieved. The family continued to struggle, but their lives took a sharp turn in 1926 when they fled the South, driven out by the terror of the Ku Klux Klan. Arriving in Detroit as part of the Great Migration, the Louis family sought new beginnings. Life in the industrial heart of America brought its own challenges, but the city's promise of opportunity couldn't be ignored. Settling in the Black Bottom neighborhood, Joe's family found work with Ford Motors. Joe himself worked at the River Rouge Plant for a time, but his true calling lay elsewhere. He enrolled in Bronson Vocational School to study cabinet making, but fate had different plans. Joe Louis Barrow, better known as the Brown Bomber, would soon rise to become one of the greatest and most influential boxers in history. Louis ruled the ring from 1934 to 1951, becoming the world heavyweight champion in 1937, a title he held with an iron grip until 1949. His 25 consecutive title defenses remain an unbroken record across all weight classes. Yet his impact reached far beyond boxing. In an era steeped in racial segregation, Louis became the first African American to be celebrated as a national hero in the U.S. His victory over German boxer Max Schmeling in 1938 wasn't just about boxing. It was a symbolic stand against Nazi ideology, a moment that echoed around the world. But Louis's influence didn't stop there. In 1952, he shattered yet another racial barrier, helping to integrate professional golf by becoming the first African American to play in a PGA event under a sponsor's exemption. He was more than a boxer. He was a force of nature who transcended sports and helped shape the cultural and social fabric of America. His legacy lives on as a symbol of perseverance, power, and the fight for equality, proving that even the humblest of beginnings can give rise to a true champion. About personal life. Joe Louis's personal life was as complex and dynamic as his legendary boxing career. His journey through marriage, fatherhood, politics, and personal struggles revealed a man who, despite the fame, faced trials that were deeply human. Louis married 4 times. His first wife, Marva Trotter, was a glamorous Chicago socialite. Together, they had 2 children, daughter Jacqueline, born in 1943, and son Joseph Louis Barrow Jr., born in 1947. Their relationship was tumultuous. After first divorcing in 1945, the couple remarried a year later, only to divorce again in 1949. Marva went on to pursue a career in acting and modeling, leaving behind her life with the heavyweight champion. On Christmas Day in 1955, Louis married again, this time to Rose Morgan, a successful Harlem businesswoman. Despite their strong partnership, the marriage ended in annulment in 1958. But he found lasting love in his final marriage to Martha Jefferson, a lawyer from Los Angeles. They wed on St. Patrick's Day in 1959 and remained together until his death. Together, they had 4 children. His son, Joseph Jr., would follow in his father's footsteps, staying connected to the world of boxing. Though his marriages were central to his life, Louis discreetly enjoyed the company of several famous women, including singers Lena Horne and Edna Mae Harris, adding an air of glamour and intrigue to his personal story. Beyond his personal relationships, Louis wasn't afraid to engage in politics, even when it went against the grain. In the 1940 presidential election, he and Marva campaigned for Wendell Willkie, the liberal, anti-segregation Republican candidate. His support for Willkie stemmed from a deep sense of gratitude toward the country that had propelled him to success. He believed that Willkie would be fair to African Americans, declaring, "This country has been good to me." It gave me everything I have. I have never come out for any candidate before, but I think Wilkie will give us a square deal. So, I am for Wilkie because I think he will help my people, and I figure my people should be for him, too. However, the later years of Louis's life were marked by a much darker struggle. As his health deteriorated, he fell into drug use, a battle that would haunt him for the rest of his days. In 1969, Louis collapsed on a New York City street. Initially attributed to physical exhaustion, the truth was far more serious. By 1970, he was hospitalized at both the Colorado Psychiatric Hospital and the Veterans Administration Hospital in Denver after being committed by his wife, Martha, and his son, Joe Jr., for paranoia. In his 1971 biography, Brown Bomber, Louis candidly revealed that his collapse had been caused by cocaine use, and his hospitalizations were driven by fear of a conspiracy against him. By the 1970s, Louis's health had taken a serious downer. A series of strokes and heart ailments, worsened by years of drug use, pushed him to the brink. In 1977, he underwent surgery to repair an aortic aneurysm, after which he required a mobility scooter for assistance. About professional life, Joe Louis, known as the Brown Bomber, is widely regarded as one of the greatest boxers in history. From his professional debut to his retirement, Louis's career was a saga of unyielding dominance, iconic rivalries, and heartbreaking comebacks. As the longest reigning heavyweight champion, he transcended boxing, becoming a symbol of resilience and national pride. His legacy stretches far beyond the ring, but his journey from the top of the boxing world to his eventual decline remains one of the most captivating stories in sports history. Joe Louis made his professional debut in 1934, and within 3 years, he was a contender for the heavyweight crown. Louis's powerful punches and relentless work ethic quickly earned him a reputation as a knockout artist. His rise was meteoric, defeating top fighters and establishing himself as the most dangerous heavyweight in the sport. In 1937, Louis faced James J. Braddock, the reigning world heavyweight champion. Braddock knocked Louis down early in the fight, but Louis recovered and knocked Braddock out in the 8th round to become the world heavyweight champion. This victory made him the second black heavyweight champion in history after Jack Johnson. But Louis wasn't just fighting for himself. He was fighting to redefine the image of the black athlete in America. Louis's next major milestone came in his rematch against Max Schmeling. Schmeling had handed Louis his first professional loss in 1936, and their rematch in 1938 had a much greater significance. It wasn't just a boxing match. It was framed as a battle between democracy and Nazi ideology. Schmeling was portrayed as a symbol of Adolf Hitler's regime, and Louis was the American hero tasked with stopping him. In one of the most iconic moments in sports history, Louis demolished Schmeling in the first round, knocking him out in just 2 minutes and 4 seconds. The victory solidified Louis as a national hero and a symbol of anti-fascism. Following his victory over Schmeling, Louis entered one of the most dominant stretches in boxing history. From January 1939 to May 1941, Louis defended his heavyweight title 13 times, often against fighters who were no match for his skill and power. This stretch of defenses was dubbed the Bum of the Month Club due to the seemingly endless stream of overmatched opponents Louis faced. However, many of these fighters were legitimate top contenders, including John Henry Louis, Tony Galento, and Arturo Godoy. In June 1941, Louis faced his toughest challenge, yet in light heavyweight champion Billy Khan, smaller and quicker, used a hit-and-run strategy, outboxing Louis for much of the fight. But in the 13th round, Louis capitalized on Khan's mistake of standing too close, delivering a knockout blow in the final moments. Louis later remarked, "He can run, but he can't hide," a phrase that would become legendary. At the height of his career, Louis's priorities shifted as the United States entered World War II. In 1942, he enlisted in the U.S. Army, setting aside his championship status to serve his country. Though he never saw combat, Louis's contributions were invaluable. He fought in numerous exhibition matches to entertain the troops, raising millions from military charities. Despite his service, Louis's generosity came at a cost. The IRS declared the money raised through these exhibitions as taxable income, leading to a massive debt that would haunt Louis for the rest of his life. Even as he served, Louis continued to face the racial segregation that plagued America, but his presence as a black champion uplifted soldiers and citizens alike. After the war, he returned to the ring in 1946 to face Billy Conn in a much-anticipated rematch. Though Conn had been his toughest challenger in the past, this time Louis dominated, knocking him out in the 8th round. Despite the victory, Louis's skills were starting to show signs of decline. The next year, he fought Jersey Joe Walcott in a controversial bout where Walcott knocked Louis down twice but lost by split decision. He knew his abilities were waning, and in 1949, he announced his retirement from boxing. Unfortunately, Louis's financial troubles, particularly with the IRS, forced him back into the ring. In 1950, he returned to face Ezid Charles for the heavyweight title but was soundly defeated. The once dominant champion was now a shadow of his former self. Still, he continued to fight in hopes of clearing his debt. In 1951, Louis took on an undefeated rising star, Rocky Marciano, in what would become one of the most heartbreaking moments in boxing history. Marciano, a relentless and powerful puncher, was uncomfortable facing his hero, but knew it was a fight that had to happen. From the beginning, it was clear that Louis could no longer keep up with the young contender. In the 8th round, Marciano delivered a crushing left hook that sent Louis to the canvas. Louis struggled to rise, but was knocked out of the ring moments later. Marciano, visibly upset, tried to console his fallen idol, telling him, "I'm sorry, Joe." Louis, ever the sportsman, replied, "What's the use of crying? The better man won." This marked the end of Louis's illustrious career, and he retired from professional boxing for good after the Marciano fight. Though he continued to participate in exhibitions, his days of competitive fighting were over. His career was one of the most remarkable in sports history. He held the heavyweight title for nearly 12 years, with 25 successful defenses, a record that still stands. Louis's significance went beyond his dominance in the ring. He broke racial barriers, became a symbol of American strength during World War II, and inspired millions across the globe. In retirement, Louis continued to face financial struggles, but his legacy as a fighter and a cultural icon remained untarnished. He passed away in 1981, but his contributions to the sport and to American society are immortalized. The boxing world will never forget the Brown Bomber, a man who fought for more than just titles. He fought for dignity, respect, and unity. Thank you for watching. Don't miss our fascinating biography of Muhammad Ali and other legendary boxers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting content. Stay tuned for more boxing stories.